The meeting will come to order tonight. Looks like slim pickings, but we got a good audience anyway. Good. If you would, stand with me for the invocation for the Carlos bench and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we approach your throne of grace in this hour. We're so thankful for your love and mercy. And I ask you that we come together for this meeting tonight to bless every member of the council, Lord. Let them, whatever they need to do, Lord, just let them make decisions to be made. And Lord, we ask you to just bless each one and all their families, Lord, each one. Now, Lord, we ask you as we go into this meeting, Lord, just bless us and help us, each one. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Would the flag right over here?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Carlos, if you don't feel like being able to stay here, that'd be fine. If you want to go back home, we certainly appreciate you coming down and taking the effort to come down here and do the invocation for us. You're more than welcome anytime. But thank you for bringing it.
Moving sort of slow.
That's all right. That's okay. That's one thing about Wausau, you don't need to get in a hurry. Our first item of business is the consent agenda. No, correction on that. We're gonna put the regular meeting in a recess at this time. And we'll open the public hearing to about our 2016-2017 budget. And I'll ask if anybody got any questions on the budget, any of the council. If you've got any comments, comments or changes or?
I didn't see anything change. It
No,
just lets you
nothing's
read-
changed.
This is a
Same
public
page.
hearing on
Same
the
page.
budget that we accepted.
Yeah.
Workshop.
We accepted in a workshop, or we had to put into the records for sure.
Later, when we get in our regular meeting, we're going to talk about some equipment. That's in the budget if we decide, or we'll discuss it. We can discuss that.
We can discuss it, but actually we would like to buy that this fiscal year.
Okay.
If we could, you know.
If we decide to do that.
Well, does anyone in the large audience have any questions or comments or input? No one? Well, this time we'll close the public hearing and we'll reconvene the regular meeting. And the first item on our regular meeting agenda is the consent agenda. And I'm wondering if anyone has any problems, comments, corrections, or anything.
The only thing is your reconciled bank statements are not in there because we haven't received them all yet.
Promises to be here next time. For some reason,
You got the actual bank statements in your packets or in your add-on packages there? Yes, but we just don't have them reconciled yet because they're just coming in. Our meeting's early.
yeah, this is kind of early, it's on what, the 11th of the month, so it's
Yeah.
kind of early for us to have a,
8th of the month.
today's the 8th?
Yeah,
I don't know, I think, where did I get the 11th from? Oh, that's 9/11.
yeah, that's what we got flagged up.
That's a different thing.
This is the earliest we can have.
Yeah, the earliest,
It's
the very
here
earliest.
today.
And everything was still kind of flying around.
And a
that-
holiday.
Yeah, I know Fun Day's been coming and gone, but
Yeah,
we're
there's
still,
always something.
we're still getting, different kind of feedback and stuff on that, so it's just kind of put it further behind. But other than reconciled bank statements and one bank statement that has not come in, the most everything seems up to date.
the only other thing that y'all might be interested in is the line of credit at Capital City Bank for our scope project. You know, as you know, our project was supposed to close out, September 30th. And, yeah.
On the road.
On the road. So therefore, we had to extend our line of credit. Our project is set to, close on January 31st. And we extended that line of credit till March 1st of 2017 to give time to get our money back from the state.
By then, everything should be, road should be built,
Hopefully.
money's
so.
paid by
Yes,
then. It's still dragging. Seems
Well,
really
I
dragging.
think Cliff has been in contact with Jeff about the CEI inspections, right? Or to see if we could use Melvin Engineering.
Oh, the piggyback stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
So we got to let DOT know that, and then they'll give us the right to proceed.
We had a whole.
No, Cliff and them were going to donate their time to do the inspections for
Yeah.
us. DOT will not allow that.
Oh,
But Washington County has Melvin Engineering under contract,
Mhm.
and Jeff says we can piggyback on that.
The DOT in the last 12 months has really
Yeah.
become more stringent in the separation of duties. They have historically been with design and CEI work. So in past, you could double dip, so to speak, and do it all. Now they are very rarely allowing that to happen. And so we're looking for alternative ways to make sure that we get the CEI work done that the state's going to require.
okay.
That's why initially Cliff and they were just gonna donate it, you know, and do it.
Yeah, I
but
remember that,
It
but-
changed between then and now that we
Yeah.
can't do that. They won't let him.
More changes.
On
For that.
like shown consent order, the water thing, this is the first time I've seen it, and I see some notes in there. Is there any other notes? Has anything else happened since you prepared these?
Yeah, some of them's paid. Some of the little smaller balances there, that like the $6 and
Because,
something.
because that totalway over there is beginning to creep up again.
Yeah.
We were way down there.
We've actually locked 12 meters this month, and then they've come in.
It's amazing how
They
they get their
have to
attention.
be brought back into compliance.
The number is not really, but the ones that are in violation.
Yeah,
have a really
they're the
large
ones that
amount.
have the large bills, yeah.
That's what I was wondering, if we need to consider sometime about the deposit being larger with people moving off owing, because by
Yeah.
the time they miss one, they've already another month
Yeah.
behind, and
Well,
it
like,
exceeds most of the time.
Some of the renters, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we locked, I think we locked 3 or 4 of Mr. TD's renters this time. And, you know, a couple of them come in and paid, but also a couple of them, he come in and said, they've gone. I
Uh-huh.
thought, well,
Already gone.
he said, I forgot to call you and tell you. I said,
Is rental meters in the name of the landowner or
we
the
can't do them in the name of the, it has to be in the name of the
name of the
tenant.
renter?
Yes,
So when they come in,
yes.
is it discriminating if we make renter deposits greater than,
I wouldn't do that. I would have a plan.
You talk about
Make them all
open a
alive.
can of worms, now that'd be a can of worms right there. You know, if
I
you could
thought it was, but.
Yeah,
Don't need food
to me,
discussion,
it would be,
it's-
whoa,
Yeah.
I would consider it discriminating
I
against
would.
me if I was a renter.
I would too.
And somebody right next door tell me I own a house, and they said, well, you gotta pay $250, I don't wanna pay $150.
I was trying to fix the problem, but I see a couple of these on here that are owner occupied, so,
Yeah,
That
we
one,
can't say that it's a renter problem.
no,
that one that was, let me see the number.
They are the ones a lot of times that move out and leave the
Uh-huh.
big balance.
Number
So-
216 there. Is he gone?
They're gone.
They're gone.
now that doesn't have the deposit refunded out of it yet, so it will go down.
So
And
they
we-
had a $100 deposit.
Uh-huh.
But with water and garbage, you know,
So they'll
now
wind up
being,
150, I mean, they'll wind up $56
Mm-hmm,
to the good on this.
yeah.
They will, not us.
And see, this one was extra, this one is high, simply because they had a leak.
Okay.
After they get their deposit back, we're still out 6175.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it was that a rental?
Rental.
I don't know if that place had been purchased or not.
Okay.
So you got $61, the only way you can get that is probably small claims or some, you know,
You can get a judgment against them, but that's about it because they're not property owners.
I don't know what you get against them.
There's nothing unless they're people that, like those, they don't have nothing, don't buy nothing, don't need, you know, they don't use
Don't
credit.
have anything, don't want anything.
And go junk up the next place to get it.
Did you clean it up? I didn't look. I
Don't.
would guess not.
It don't look like they moved.
It'll be, we'll have about 3 for Mr. Jeff next month to do a resolution on.
Well, this is, I'm not,
Or
I don't want
attorney
to
letter
drag it
first.
on too far, but, in the same, since we're in that section there, in that area, can we contact kind of ahead of time the actual owner and tell them, say, listen, these people left a mess down here. We would appreciate it if you come on down. And clean it
When
up."
we send the next letter to, well, the landowner gets a copy of the letter we sent to them.
I know, but they don't know the status of it, I don't know where they
No.
live or anything else.
These people live in Vidalia, Georgia.
Well, that's what I'm saying, they don't know what it looks like. Is there some way we can just put them a nice letter and say, listen, if you want us to, we'll contact somebody, you send us $200, we'll have somebody clean it up, or you'll have somebody give just try to help them out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it helps us out without being a court order or something, just, we'll get an estimate, send it to you, or if you want, send us some money, we'll clean it up, or something, but, we don't need, if we go this back and forth, it could be 6 months and the place look just like it does.
I'll send
And
them
the
a
next guy
letter.
that moves, next one that moves in there, they don't care, they'll just move right in the middle of the jump, most likely. Man, look here what these people
And whether they're
left
through
away.
moving or not, I don't know that,
If they want.
If they're through moving, I don't
okay.
know that. I do
Well,
know-
we'll probably never know
I do
that.
know we locked the meter because they didn't pay the bill.
I don't
if
think-
we do something like that, Mr. Mayor, we need to clean it up and then be, because they may send us $200 and it may take another 700.
Well, that's what I say, but then if we do that without having a real legal binding,
Yeah.
something between us and they can call back,
We need to get them to
we can
agree
say,
with us,
we
to
can, they can come back and
reimburse.
say, well, yeah, we appreciate it, we're not paying you a dime for that.
Yeah.
We didn't tell you,
Yeah,
we didn't ask
I
you
agree
to.
with that.
Just something to kind of give us like I said, I like to keep it on a low profile if we can without getting courts involved and all that kind of stuff. So it drags out if we do that. It's just a thought. I'll get away from
I
that.
think it's a good idea.
Is any more questions on the water? Y'all, you got some else? Anything else? Bernie, you got anything on any part of the consent agenda? Ardell, do you have anything else? I'd entertain a motion, we accept the consent agenda as we can read it and a few corrections we made. Do I hear a motion?
And I make a motion and an observation, we didn't get the one page,
That's all I got.
so
She hadn't done the August.
they may not have had anything because they were doing fun day and all.
Oh, well, in the minutes, it was saying about the sleeping on funeral.
So we're gonna work on that one down the
That's
line.
Okay, but that was in there that we were okay with it. The rest of the council were
Yeah,
okay.
we're gonna read the
Change it
letter a
up
bit
on
later, a
the
bit later on that.
attorney's opinion.
On the consent agenda, I have a motion we accept. Do I hear a second?
A second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? How you vote, Ms. Bernie? Ms. Marlene? Mr. Roddell? Aye. Consent agenda carried. I don't see Mr. Cliff.
He's not gonna be here, I'll do that down in mine, down here.
Okay, no Cliff. No show Cliff. And no writing pen.
Yeah. Alan got elected, he didn't come back out here and take his pens back, did he?
I don't know, mine's gone.
Mine's gone.
Yeah,
He might have picked them all up. He's gonna keep it for 4 years.
Took his pens back this morning,
Yeah.
didn't come tonight.
Yeah, his mama did show up.
I don't know what all that is. We got so much.
The next item of business is the clerk's information.
Okay, y'all have amendment number 1 with on the booster pump, project, which, is, let me get there. stating that since we don't have money for the entire project, which our project will be, our Grantham Road project will be, is on a list now to be funded as soon as funds come available as a separate project. Water Management has agreed for us to do the Mud Hill project simply because of the potable water at Mud Hill that needs, and so that's why we just need to enter into the agreement with Water Management on that Amendment 1.
I've got to find the thing again. I started putting stuff in my, wound up, I think that's it. Yeah, no one grant agreement.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I've got one question on that. It says the result of placing lines and service will be to close for approximately 7 residential wells and 1 limited use public well.
Oh, yeah.
On the agreement. Does those
Cliff
people-
just did a survey of
do
how
those
many-
people know that they're going to be expected to?
No, but and they don't have to. Cliff's just done a survey of the people up there. We know we got 3 that's wanting to come on. Dan and Diane, Paradon, he just bought Miss Walker's house up there, Audrey Walker's,
Okay.
and he's coming on. And then the people that, on the right-hand side there where the carpet is stored there,
Like a metal building. I
yeah,
mean,
they're gonna build a new house out there, and they're coming on to our system. Now, the others, I don't know about, like Jehaza and,
Jack,
Marlene was a little bitty girl when none of the rest of you was living here when we got our water system. But I've seen knives drawn here in the city hall about cutting off wells and things like that when we got our first water system in
Yeah,
late.
if they're
Well, we
outside,
can't-
if they're outside the city
Yeah.
limits, we can't force them.
no.
But he just done a survey of the
Can
households
they,
there.
but this agreement is not with them, this agreement's with us.
Yeah. I don't know, that's what Chris,
Not with who?
The people outside the city limits. This agreement's with the town, and it says in the agreement that the 7 wells and the public, if the public.
well, it also
Those are-
said that in our, with USDA, that they would abandon the wells. Anybody that was, our lines ran by, but we can't make them do that. Unless if they hook on, we can.
I'm
It said
good with us
we're,
not making, the resolve of the earlier thing was that anybody that had one could keep it, if it ever went out of service, they couldn't drill another one or do something like that,
Right.
but.
this is probably true in that we're making 7 homes available. It doesn't say we
Yeah.
they got to hook up.
Yeah,
But-
But I'm not opposed to it, I just want to make sure that they don't expect us to go and tell some of these people, if
No.
you get city water, you got to close your well.
No, I don't think so. I don't know the, I'm depending on
And that's-
the memory of her.
Cliff said that they asked him to survey how many homes were up there and the Public
Yeah.
Works, how many employees were at Public Works, and put that in the contract.
Well, that's what I've been told all the time, is if you inside the city limits, you could not own a well. If outside is just your option.
We have 2 left in
We
the
have a
city
bunch of
limits.
places that
Mark,
they're ready.
Mark's on the water system.
is it?
Dark Silence.
Darcy Owens and Roscoe Douglas's place over there.
Okay.
That's the only 2 wells we have active in Wausau. Well, no, I take that back, we got L'Oreal.
They still got a well?
L'Oreal does, but now the others, it's the trailers and all behind
I
them.
started to go right by them.
They,
Eventually it'll happen,
Yeah.
and we'll definitely let
Mr.
you know.
Cox as well as closed, ain't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
My main thing, I want to get water up
Just
on the hill.
just the booster pumps in and gets water and gets the
Up on the
line
hill,
up.
yeah.
What's the next step? We have to go into bids for contractors to lay pipe and we got
We
line.
gotta-
We
Pipe's
got
up there.
line, we got line,
Pipe's
yeah.
up there.
Yeah, I remember.
we've got, the bid was overbid, and this is what, which was North Florida Construction. This will let us let that bid to them
One.
for 1 booster pump station.
Hopefully by
By the time they get through this one, they should have money.
we can have extra money
We're
coming
waiting
in.
for October 1 at the North,
Yeah.
Water Management.
Wait for the next handout. But I'm gonna understand that the bid, like I said, the bid's done,
Everything's done, we're just waiting on this
Everything's
to
done,
get back to Water Management.
yeah. Signed and sealed and delivered. Do we have to snail mail this back to them?
We're scanning email.
Okay.
I make a motion, that we authorize the mayor to sign our agreement, our amendment number 1 to the grant agreement with Northwest Park Water Management District.
You've heard the motion. If I hear a second,
I second it.
I will second. Any further discussion? How do you vote, Ms. Palmer?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I sure can't tell who that person is, by the way she wrote it.
I got the originals in there, you'll have to.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing is our budget ordinance, which is ordinance number 1601, an ordinance adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2016 and 17 for the town of Wausau, Florida, and appropriating the funds for said fiscal year. Just need a motion to adopt the budget at the first reading.
We got to have, 2 more readings or
One.
One more reading. One more hearing.
Yeah, one more reading.
Are we gonna sign this now, or we gotta wait and have a next public
Yes,
hearing?
this is just the first reading of the ordinance, which was, we need to pass it, pass the first reading of the ordinance tonight,
Okay, we're
We
just
actually,
passing
we
first
actually can
reading.
change the budget
up till the
Yeah.
final
at the
reading.
next hearing.
Right.
I don't think we changed the bottom line.
No, we should.
Well, we're not a taxing authority, we can change anything that needs to be changed on that,
Yeah,
up to the next meeting.
yeah. We just gotta pass this tonight, and then the next item will be to set the date and time for the final reading and final adoption.
Okay. I would entertain a motion that we accept, ordinance 16-001. This ordinance adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2016 and 17. Do I hear a motion that we accept the budget?
I make a motion to accept the budget.
I have a motion that we accept the budget. Do I hear a second?
I second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? How do you vote, Mr. Rosedale?
Yes.
Ms. Blunt?
Aye.
Mr. Palmer?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, we need to set the date and time for the final reading of the ordinance and the final adoption of it. And it has to be after 5:01 PM,
All right, question. At a public hearing,
No.
after, this is a public hearing kind of happen?
No, we didn't have the public hearing on the budget.
What's the next?
Adopting the ordinance final,
Just a final reading?
final reading and adoption,
Okay.
final adoption.
You can take comments on it, Richard.
But that was the next question I was gonna ask. I wanna make sure that we could actually make a motion to accept it, but if it's not a public hearing, we can't, of course.
We're just adopting the ordinance tonight. We're just
Passing them on the
reading.
first reading, yeah.
We're just passing the first reading tonight. We can even change the ordinance at the next meeting.
We can't?
Yeah, you've got flexibility. All you gotta do tonight is pass what you've already done tonight.
Okay.
You can amend if you need to.
Anybody have any dates they wanna, that's good to you, or dates
Barney,
not
what you
good
got?
to you? We gotta have, what is it, 10 days minimum
We gotta have, our ordinance says 3 days
after tonight?
after the first reading was published. Now, we can't publish till next week.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to have at least 3 days after that, but we need a little longer than that, really.
Yeah, I was just, see, this is, you said the 8th day of September?
Mm-hmm.
I think 10 days would be plenty, shouldn't it? 2 weeks from today. Should we do that?
22nd.
Roger, what you got, 27?
8 and 14, 22. Anything, you got anything on the 22nd?
I don't see a thing.
We should be a long time, and we set it at 5:05. You say 5:01, gotta be after that. 5:05, evening, in the afternoon,
Marlene, can you get your,
and we shouldn't be here long at all.
The 22nd at 5:05.
Yes, 22nd at 5:05, that
put
sound
that in
good?
a motion, somebody.
Paul, does that sound okay to you before we do that?
Does that sound okay?
5:05, okay.
I was writing it down.
I would entertain a motion that, we have a special meeting at 5:05 on the 22nd of September for the purpose of, accepting the budget.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
I second
I will second. Any further discussion? Any vote, Ms. Paul?
it. Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Madam Clerk, did y'all pass the first read?
yes,
You did already vote on that?
yes.
Okay, I just missed it.
Tractor quotes.
We have two different tractor quotes in here. They're both on John Deere's, and but all the tractors, New Holland, Massey Ferguson, Kubota, all are on state bid. These are, if I could get one for this, that'd be great.
I was, kind of comparing those.
The first one is a 30 horsepower,
30?
38 horsepower, I'm sorry.
38.
Yeah, 38
Yep,
horsepower.
38.
And, but this is with it's got the loader and the bucket on the front, a finish mower, a grooming mower, a rototiller, which is the king cutter down there, a trailer with it, and like a spreader, fertilizer spreader with it.
Fertilizer.
The total package price on that is $26,995. Now the next one is a larger tractor, which is a 48 horsepower tractor with just a bush hog on it, but it and a loader and a bucket on it. The total price on that one is $30,661.19. And then both of these are off the state bid contract price. But,
And it's a 45 horse.
48 horse on the last one. I think it's 48, 45.
38 and a 48.
Yes. But just without the trailer and all on the last one, you know.
And I can't tell you about the 48, I don't know. But I read this somewhere that this is kind of new one that's coming out. I don't know where I read it. But I think this 38 horsepower, if I'm not badly mistaken, it has that transfer, what am I call it?
Hydrostatic.
Hydrostatic
Yeah.
transmission
I
instead
think they
of,
all,
instead of going through the gears, you know, and all that stuff. That's where most of your weakness is on a tractor, is the clutching every time.
and they have a 32 horse that's a little bit cheaper than this, about $23,000 for the whole package deal.
Yeah,
But, you know, for the difference to get a little better horsepower, you know. But it sure save our skag, you know.
did you talk with Eddie and compare it with him, look at these numbers? I mean, I don't know a thing about a tractor. I'd ask if you.
Well, I asked him about the 23, and he said if you can go with the bigger one, he said the smaller horsepower, he said don't go with it. You know, he said you need the bigger, at least the 38, you know. full
Yeah,
of
but I'm
push on.
not, but do you need a 48?
No, not really,
That's
no.
what I'm
Yeah, we don't need to be there.
That's what I was thinking, we're not gonna be doing any heavy
What's yours,
lifting.
Roger?
Say mine's a 30.
It does everything you want?
It
Well,
does for me.
I don't know, but I mean, that's what I said. I don't
Now,
know.
you're saying a finish mower. And the other one is saying a rotary mower.
Right,
And-
yeah.
So are we talking about something that's gonna be like mowing on a golf course? Or are we talking about something we can mow these right away with?
The finish more would be the golf course ball field type, you know.
But I think we finish, the highways, if we do it, once we get them one, you know, like 177.
Yeah, it would work, yeah.
Once we get it cut
Because
down first
a
time.
finish mower ain't much more than that big skag. I mean, when you start talking about
Yeah,
Yes, it's a 5 foot.
Finish mower.
Yeah, these are 5 foot.
yeah.
And the one on the other one is a 6 foot. It's just a rotary cutter, you know.
Just a boot, we could have boot hog.
We could get
I
a,
like that smaller package because you got
Well, you can get
a
the-
couple of pieces of equipment
And the
there,
trailer.
and still you got a lesser,
and a trailer.
and a trailer, and still you got a lesser cost.
And we could change out, you know, we could change out it would probably be a little cheaper to change out the finish more for just a rotary cutter, you know, but it wouldn't do as good on the ball fields and all, you know.
But,
We're gonna keep our skag, ain't we?
Yes,
Can't they do the ball field?
yes.
well, you've got 2 parks to do anymore. You don't have 1 park anymore.
And this needs heavy duty.
And it gets bad out there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's just something you see it, but you say, well, I'm gonna have to get to it when I can. I mean, we could easily, if we saw that this finish more would not do what we wanted. Or just, less than $1,000, we can get a good heavy duty bush
Bush
hog
hog.
to do
You
it
get a
more
full
private.
foot.
I think what's on, like on 77, I don't really know if we're actually legal being out there. I guess we're all on the side of the city limits, inside the city limits, I hope. But I know they ran us off up there one time, we was scooping dirt up right there
Louis Malcolm.
just inside of your,
Laurel,
yeah.
Laurel Drive, yeah.
And they come on, put a stop to that, you know.
But we was really impressed
I know
with the
in some-
rotary tiller
I
for the
know
ball
that-
fields.
I know in some places they do the cities have, Chipley does some of them,
Yeah.
got that
Yeah, that's what I said, I'm not
medium out
sure.
there. and something.
Until they tell us we can't, we can do it, but I mean, make it look as much nicer.
You can get a you can get a full foot bush hog from Tractor Supply for $850,
Yeah.
$849.99 or something.
And the only place we'd really need a bush hog would be on 77 and
Yeah.
Pioneer Road.
Well, you might
And
well
that's
have
only-
now, so.
That'd be only like a couple of times, 3 times, a couple of times, or maybe twice a month maximum on that. But I'm just saying, if we decided that it can't do it, I was just thinking about the same thing
I'm-
we're
I'm-
talking about.
I'm not sure that it can't. I just don't want you to
Yeah.
get a wimp.
Yeah, well, I agree with that 100%. We don't want to take it out there and tear it up right off
That's
the
right.
bat.
That's what
I
I'm
mean,
thinking.
that's what happened on Skag. I saw the bill on that thing the other day. It was $600 something the other day for that, putting the Skag back together.
That rototiller will be good for several things. Sometimes we may have to run some more line and you can take that first pass with that rototiller and break that soil and that
Well,
ditch digging. Of course,
there's
if
a lot
you
of
got a
uses
loader, if
for
you
it.
got a loader, if you got a bucket, you wouldn't necessarily think that,
We
but
used to beg Ricky Miller to
And-
come
and
down
it-
here and do our ball fields, you
And it'd
know.
be great on the ball field.
it will.
I done seen the boys out there they have to go borrow stuff, you
And
know.
it'll be good when we got some washers on our right of way too. You can go in there and levelize, that thing works like a levelizer.
Yeah. I know, I've seen them use a tiller before and then come back with and pull like a bunch of old, chain link fence behind it. That thing be just as smooth as top of this table when they get through with it, you know.
Where will the money come from?
Well,
Where will the money come from?
It's a lot of money.
it's a lot of money.
Cash.
It's a lot of
We
money.
got how much cash carry forward?
We probably do, but we don't want to deplete we can go to Capital City Bank, you know, finance it like we did we paid it off early, you know, the, Kubota,
Where will the payment come from?
general funds. Or water, you know.
Well, water would have to be some of it. and then-
Usually we would pay one payment, what we did with the Kubota, we paid one payment with general funds, one payment with water, you know. And it's not too bad, you know.
Yeah, I'd rather not deplete our cushion.
Yeah.
I'd rather just,
But
and
when she
see
said
what
she
the
wanted to
payments
pay for
are.
it, when she said she wanted to buy it this fiscal year, I wondered, was there a reason? Did we have money?
We
don't
have some, we
money
could put a good down payment on it, you know, or if we needed to, but Capital City Bank will finance it, just, you know, tax-free interest, you
And I'd
know.
like to see what the payments will be. I mean, that would be a good, next question, I would think, would be.
Yeah. And we don't have to do it in this fiscal year. I budgeted equipment in the new one too, so I just said, you know, if we could
It's
get
something-
it closed by September
How long this
30th.
price is good for?
September 30th, but they'll go forward. They'll go forward.
There's a big sell on this John Deere right now. I saw that in, something I was gonna read.
Does our adopting the budget, can we recess this meeting and reconvene that, or does it have to be called for that special purpose and do that only?
No, we can call a special meeting, but we can advertise that we're gonna act on more than the, usually what we can advertise like we have to adopt the budget and other business as needed, can we, Jeff?
Yeah. I always like the final budget hearing to be that meeting. I would encourage you to have technically 2 meetings, the budget hearing, close the budget meeting, and open a second hearing. I just find that to be
Well,
cleaner.
Yeah.
On most meetings, I wouldn't say that. A final budget hearing is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
To me, I don't
think
really
it may
see
be
the,
required by law, I think. That's the reason I asked you, it's been a
No,
long
no,
time since I've
me too.
done
There's
it.
nothing preventing you from closing that budget meeting when it's done, and 5 minutes later going into a special meeting on another topic, though.
Yeah, we can just advertise a special meeting after the budget.
well,
Could we
really,
let her get, payment plans and finance plans and things like that?
I can
If we're
help.
going, if this is gonna go with, they may have, that company still may be the state contractor, but they may have an automatic,
Don't think so.
don't think so?
do y'all think it's, I mean, I'm gonna ask, but do you think it's necessary, we get this into before we accept the next budget, or?
No, I mean, you know.
I mean, I
If
don't
you just
wanna,
wanna vote on, you know, whether we're gonna do the we probably won't get the financing in place
Well, I
by
would-
September 30th.
I would just rather put this in a next regular meeting. I don't
Suits me.
see a real
Okay.
panic, you know, it's not something that broke down.
I just assumed do that too.
So you want me to just check with Capital City Bank on their
Yeah,
rates?
and give us some ideas, you know, what, if we put down X amount, what would the payments be? If we just buy it straight out with them, 100% finance, what would the payments be?
On the 38 horsepower with the 38 horsepower package?
Well, that's me now, that's up to y'all, the smaller of the two. But we get more equipment. She's asking, is it, you want to get the information on the 38 horsepower or the 48 horsepower? But 38, we get 5 pieces of equipment and a trailer. And the other, I think we get 2 pieces of equipment and no trailer. I mean, we got trailers, that's no problem, but,
Oh, no, not the whole trailer.
well, we got one that holds this tractor. That's.
What's that living in
Heartbeat.
Thor? What's that living in Thor piece of equipment?
A what?
Living in Thor.
That's,
Oh, that's a cedar, like a fertilizer spreader.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
spread it
hard.
out.
Okay.
like an old top, you know, a spinning top.
And we're gonna need,
Yeah, we need that on the ball field.
We desperately need to George Rogers.
and
We
separate,
don't lose
separate
some
places.
places.
But one of these is not a bucket, it's a loader,
It's a loader with a bucket, yeah.
Yeah.
rear bucket.
No, front bucket,
Yeah,
Front
that's what I'm
bucket.
saying, that's a loader.
yeah,
Okay,
loader.
I'm talking about
No, no, we got that.
We already got that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I think the package is the better.
I'm never, on that.
38 horsepower package.
That's everybody. We
The
got to
26,000.
have all get on the same.
You just gonna bring that back to us then?
I can bring that back to you. You need a motion on that, Jared? For me to bring that back to you? Okay. All right, so in your package, you have Mr. Goodman's opinion on the donation for the Sleevenger funeral. And his caution is to be very careful how you spend taxpayers' money.
Yeah, so a couple things I have tonight. One is I need formal approval to send the letter that you have in front of you to the Attorney General's office for a Attorney General's opinion. You know, this is an issue that I got approached with by Margaret a month or two ago. Wrote kind of a draft opinion, which will be sent to the Attorney General as well. You know, I will tell you that it is a debatable topic. I feel like, based on my research, I think the scope of Chapter 119 is broad enough that it would fall under the purview of Chapter 119. But based on what Margaret's told me, you guys would like to seek a Attorney General's opinion on the topic, which is fine. One thing I would caution you is once you have the answer to the question, you have the answer to the question. And you are going to be responsible for making sure that you deal with the answer to the question. You can't turn a blind eye. You can't say, oh, no, there's confusion. Once you got the answer, you got to manage it. And so, because ultimately, if the Attorney General says it is subject to 119, you are liable for it. You are.
Well, Reed, I was kind of interested in getting Attorney General's opinion, and I'm sure everybody else. I've had the feeling we were responsible for it now.
Yeah.
So, to me, anything that comes in this office and crosses that desk, and the clerk becomes responsible for it, if we're not responsible for it, who is?
But yeah, I agree with you, Mayor. But I think, I agree.
I just, that was my opinion.
I agree with that. I think, I agree.
And I do know that in our ordinance, I'm not sure we've got a copy of it.
I did.
To me, of course, there again, I might have been wanting to read it one way or versus the other. But to me, it tells me that anything that the fire department does, we are responsible for.
You are.
So, if we are responsible for
If
it,
they're doing in the name of the fire department solely for the benefit of
and
the fire
everything that
department,
they do is, and everything that they do says Wausau Volunteer Fire Department.
I guess, yeah. So if you feel that way, Mayor, and the Attorney General agrees with you, then why do you need the Attorney General's opinion anyway? If y'all are managing them and controlling them.
Because it's going to,
I understand, listen, I know the answer to the question I just asked.
we've received memos that,
You haven't received the memo. You received.
or whatever, email. Yeah,
You
email.
received an email.
Email, yeah.
From
Well,
a
I
non-attorney.
That would be like me commenting on that bucket truck right there.
that's the truth,
We
that's
had
the
a lay
truth.
attorney
But
submit his opinion.
the
But you
sway,
can't, listen, you can't, how can I say this correctly? If you believe what you just said about the managing that fire department, you gotta act that way all the time. You can't let
Well-
the tail wag the dog.
this is what we're trying to get a handle on.
I understand.
This has been, hit and miss, and so much misinformation has been spread out. So I can meet one of those, and I'm sure probably any of these, we can meet one of those firemen, they want just about spit in your face. Because
But I'm not
what they're
sure this,
receiving is not what we're sending.
I'm not sure that the answer to this question is gonna solve the crux of the problem.
It's not, but when we get this answer, this is what I'm waiting for. Everybody knows how I feel about it. We're gonna have a sit-down, one-on-one workshop with the fire department.
Sure.
And I want, you're gonna send out letters, we've got copies of the ordinance for everyone, we've got copies of the SOG for everyone to read ahead of time. I would love for them to sit right there in those chairs, and let's sit down and go through these. Let me hear your complaints, but now we're not gonna give you anything, really. I mean, we're not gonna dilute what we have. But we'd like you to understand why we're doing this,
Yeah.
and let's get on with the business at hand.
Yeah.
We don't need, every time we've ever had a meeting with, luckily sometimes we find the chief come. We express, and I think we've portrayed that we try to help the fire department any way they want. If they come to us with anything, I don't know of anything we've ever refused them. But we've got to get the same amount of respect back, and we're not getting that, I don't feel, and I'm
But
not
an
sure
Attorney
how
General's
anybody else
opinion's not
feels.
gonna get you that respect back.
That's what
Pardon me?
he's,
What?
We're saying the same thing.
he's saying the Attorney General, if we as a council
Mhm.
hadn't done it before, what makes, when we get the Attorney General and tell him, it's gonna
And
be
this
the
is a
same
public
thing.
record, I mean, this is to me, it's a sub-issue of a bigger issue.
Right.
It's
that
just
we
kind
have-
of a, this is
Well, that
fluff for a
particular-
bigger issue.
The reason that came up, I could care less.
Yeah,
That part, the one reason it's ever jumped up. And that's not what I'm talking about, really, that one Attorney General's opinion, but I would like that included in
Sure.
our fire department meeting. So that we're not on two or three different pages. Everybody said, okay, I mean, once we get the Attorney General's opinion, I mean, we wanted it to go this way at all times. But for us to say it, it doesn't become law.
Yeah, I think it's not going to make them, I hate to use the word like or dislike, or it's not going to do what you just said or what you just did. I do think when it comes back with the letterhead, Attorney General State of Florida, it's going to have some weight to it, that when we get into those arguments with them again, we're going to say, well, this is what the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Florida said about it.
Well, I mean,
I think-
this is just one little
I think it
tiny
would be
part
good.
of what
I think it
I'd
would
like
be
to see
good.
us have.
I think it'd be good for us to have it, because if this come up this year, it's gonna come up next year.
Sure.
there's an attorney,
I mean, we
There's
did,
Attorney General's opinions about various issues that this county's been dealing with for decades, some of which you're aware, Mr. Hagan. So there's direct rulings on it. Not this, but the county itself, Washington County. So my history and experience with this is the Attorney General's opinion, it will be what it is.
Yeah.
It will
And
be,
you, Attorney-
it will be what it is.
Well,
And
you-
you, Attorney General, may have a different opinion if we sought it later.
It won't, not on this issue.
Well, I don't think so either on this issue.
I'll tell you.
But on our property, with equipment that's titled to us, using our name, that puts some kind of liability, I think, on us.
It does.
We got
Yeah.
an ordinance that establishes, we got an ordinance that even says we can name the chief, or we appoint the chief, and some things like that.
Yeah.
We've acquiesced to their vote by rubber stamping their thing, and I don't have a problem with their chief. He's done this town a good job for a number of years.
Well, their argument, from what I understand, and I respect it, I mean, I don't, it's hard for most folks or lay people to really kind of understand the scope and the breadth of Chapter 119, and I do appreciate that. And like you, I appreciate the fire department and what they do.
Sure.
I think the argument that the fire department is trying to make is that because they basically do fundraising activities for what I understand to be the sole purpose of giving money or getting additional money for the fire department, the fact that they keep that money in a separate account basically makes that money or those monies in that account immune from Chapter 119. And I don't think you can shield money or accounts from 119 because you keep it in a separate account than funds that were given to you by the city and or the county. And so that's really the crux of the issue when you boil it down, is by sticking it in a separate account and doing it, quote, under the umbrella of a fundraising activity, does that immune it from Chapter 119? And I think that the Attorney General's opinion, the case law that I looked at, are pretty clear that it does not. In fact, I think the argument in most of those cases comes from companies that are separate 501c3s or other corporate entities that are separate and distinct from towns or counties. I can find no cases whereby this argument's been made by literally a subsection of the fire department is the city.
Yeah.
There is no separate entity.
There you go.
It is the same.
There you
And
go.
so I liken it or akin it to somewhat of like if at the EMS department or at the county, if Mr. Truitt and his staff want to do a fundraiser to buy another stretcher, well, just because they do a fundraiser to buy another stretcher on behalf solely of EMS, as volunteers and or employees of EMS, they can't stick that in a separate account so you public don't get to see what we do with this money. And that whether I like the law or I don't like the law, I think that's what the scope of 119 is, and I think that's kind of where we're missing the boat here.
And that's what brought us here 5 years ago, 6 years ago now. And because when I say ignorance, I mean not understanding. I don't mean that an ignorant person or we were. Or
I know what you're saying.
Okay, but out of ignorance, there may have been some things that was done, and once it came to light that we had to do something about it. And at that point in time, I went to the mat with the fire department because I did not think there was an intent and some things like that. We brought those monies in here so that it didn't ever happen again. And once we tried to fix that problem and made that a part of the city, I don't think we can now divorce it. And just go down another road a little bit, we may want to think this way. We have an attorney's opinion.
That's why
If they want an attorney general's opinion,
let them be the ones.
Well,
we have an attorney's opinion that I respect. An attorney that
I agreed with that.
Well, let me say this: I don't bat 1,000%. I can assure you. So, one, I don't get them all right. My job is in a minutia the same as the attorney general's. We don't create laws.
No.
We're not legislators.
No.
So I'm not telling you I like the scope of 119, and I don't like the scope of the Sunshine Law either,
Yeah.
because I've also seen public records law abuse little towns and little counties, so I
Sure.
think it's way out of whack. But that's neither here nor there. It is what it is, and from a balls and strikes perspective, my opinion after looking at the issue is I do think it's within the scope of 119, in there to do those records, whether I like the law or not. It's kind of like a judge. The Attorney General's job is to call balls and strikes. And it's not, to me, I try to take personal names out of it and just call it based on precedent and statute.
Well, I fully understood the way you had answered us, and I mean, I fully appreciate it, and in your emails and all, when you were asking opinion. And then all of a sudden, these emails start flying to me and to the office, stating, yeah, but,
Well,
according to my opinion, which is not an attorney's
I've
opinion.
also learned, Mr. Phillips, it's not worth my time to argue that with somebody over the internet. So I give my opinion.
Yeah.
If you want an attorney's general opinion, we'll get it. But it's not worth my time and your dollars to get in a tit for tat.
No, and that's
On
the
the
reason I
internet.
didn't want that.
Yeah.
That's the reason I said, let's just cut to the chase.
Yeah.
And we're never gonna get the end of this if we don't get somebody weighing up the lines opinion, they can say, well, he's just a local attorney, he don't know, blah, blah. I mean, I'm just seeing the possibilities.
Well, I think there's other ways, okay. yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
I just think Attorney General's,
I don't think
I think, like you said, I think when you get this thing from Attorney General
I
of
think
Florida, maybe it'll,
I think there's a bigger issue that you guys are gonna have to deal with the fire department.
well, I know. That's why I said this was just a minor little old thing right here.
Yeah.
In fact, the reason that I want to have a meeting with the fire department actually really and truly has, to my opinion, nothing to do with this part.
Yeah.
I don't care about this part.
Sure.
This was an outside problem. This was not really a council
Yeah.
shaking the bushes, I guess it's been. And
Sure,
but
it was a
it has kind of mushroomed and folded over into becoming part of our problem, and that's the reason I want to get a attorney general opinion, and then
What I do want to
we're
caution
through
you,
with that.
what I do want to caution you on going forward is in a Chapter 119 situation, you are liable. You are liable. The town is liable if you don't produce timely, in a timely manner under 119. And so, just be aware of that going forward. Is that ultimately you guys could be on the hook. And I know Walton County got hit a few years ago with $200,000 in a 119 case, so it's serious business, not because of the cost to do it, but because of the attorney's fees. If the other side's successful, they get attorney's fees. And that's the scary part of 119.
I guess I'm not ready 119.
119 is the public records law. So if I ask you for a public record and you don't supply that public record in a timely and efficient manner, then and I have to bring you to court to say, court, they didn't comply with the requirements of the law, and they didn't produce what they were supposed to produce. Where you got the gotchas, not only does the court say, no, you got to give them the documents, but you got to pay this guy over here with a tie on $34,000 for his attorney's fees to come get you $12 worth of documents. And that is the sword, so to speak, of 119.
Well, I was under the mistaken opinion, I guess. I thought that's where we were now.
Yeah.
I didn't think that with the transparency laws and all that in the state of Florida, I thought if somebody came in our office and asked for a document,
Sure.
as long as it's a public document, I was under the opinion we have to do it at any time.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I
You
know
do.
it's being
You're
used.
exactly right, you do.
So I thought that's where we were anyway.
The Attorney General's opinion doesn't necessarily provide you cover for 3 or 4 months to get them the document.
No, I agree
Right or
with that.
wrong, it
I agree
doesn't.
with that. I agree with that 100%. But that's what I'm saying. I thought we were there now.
Yeah.
We can't wait 4 or 5 months to give somebody
Well, in this case, in this particular case, if we have gave them everything that they asked for, that we have in our possession,
The firefighting, they are your fire department.
yes,
They're your fire department.
okay, it's still, if they don't give what they've got, they're still liable, the council is still liable. And they have not gave
They are your fire department.
Yes.
So it's up to us to tell
Well,
them.
that's what I thought all the time, just
Yeah.
like our maintenance guy or our
The county can't
recreation
say
director.
emergency management won't give us the documents, so we can't produce them. They're your emergency management.
Yeah,
That's not, I can't go to court and say, yeah, we gave you what you have, and emergency management over here won't give us what they
well,
have. I can't make that argument
You
straight
hadn't
face.
already gave it?
that's
Oh, I
expanding a
think
little bit
everything-
further on
yes,
why I'm
I
saying we
don't
need
know
to
what
get
this says.
Yeah.
need to have this meeting, that's the reason I'm saying that. Like I said, this particular item to me was way out there somewhere.
Well, with y'all's approval.
The problem we have is
letter, I'll
further in
go
the
ahead and
middle.
submit it.
Pardon?
Good? Y'all are good? With the letter I gave you?
Yes, we need to,
You
adopt.
need a motion on that,
Yeah,
Jim?
if you don't mind, that way I can say it was voted on, just in the letter.
Do you know the letter we're talking about, everybody?
Yeah, but I am leery.
Okay.
After what he said.
Well, that's what I'm
not telling you
saying.
not to send it.
I know,
I'm
but
anxious
you're
to get the
making us
result
aware.
myself.
He wants the results too.
I want,
Yeah.
it's good for me to get the result, but I want
Come
you,
back on us.
it's not gonna come back on
But
you.
we're-
What's in the
We're
warrant
already there.
right now?
Already.
Yeah, with or without,
Haven't
We're
done.
there.
yeah, with or without the opinion, we're no less
Yeah.
liable.
Yeah.
Or no more
But
liable.
from what I'm gathering, we should have already gotten this under control before now.
Well, I'm just
And-
saying,
and
I'm
why
just
we
saying.
haven't done it.
We're trying to correct that problem.
Yeah,
That's where we're at, we're trying to correct this problem.
I would go ahead and send the letter and then deal with the bigger issue as well, you know. That way, at least from a 119 standpoint, you've got pretty clear direction. And really, it's gonna help other municipalities in this area too, because they'll be clear on the scope of 119. And it is broad, it's broad.
But I just, I guess I was ignorant to the fact, but and I still, yes I am, I just assumed, and I still assume, that we have been under that 119 ever since I've been on this council.
You have been.
No.
Nobody's.
All right,
Mr.
that's
Phillips,
what I'm
nobody's
saying.
telling- Yeah, nobody's telling you you're not.
So just because a guy says, Attorney General says, you are, that doesn't really change the fact that we always have been. That's what I was saying. It's
Yeah.
not gonna make us any more liable or any less liable.
That's right.
We are liable,
but,
period.
yeah, what I'm what I'm getting though, it is the councils. I know you said why are we gonna wait until then to get it under control when we haven't got it under control before? Like, make them give us
Do
what
the
we
attorney general's,
needed.
it
everything.
doesn't matter. We still won't have to do it, right?
Listen, I'm probably not doing a good job of this. So here, when I got the email, I'm sitting here thinking, this is the town's fire department.
Uh-huh.
Why is the attorney getting, like, it didn't feel like there was a lot of good communication
There's
between the
not.
town and the fire department. So to
That's
me,
it.
there's legal issues and then
Personal.
there's, let's say, policy type internal issues.
Mhm.
And this one was not, typically I get them, what about a third party, like a contractor?
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking, this is the town's fire department, why? This seems kind of odd.
And to their defense, let me say that the chief is wanting the Attorney General's opinion also, because he has some control issues at his department that he needs to deal with.
That's the point I'm making. Nobody's gonna accept us.
If it helps everybody, then let's send it on.
That's exactly what it needs to be done. I mean, but I'm still,
I move
you
that we
asking
authorize,
why are we changing this now?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the attorney to send the letter that he's presented to us tonight, seeking an attorney general's opinion on the question at hand.
I have a motion that we go forward with this, according to the letter from Mr. Gooden, to send the Attorney General for an opinion on, what do you call it, 119. Do I hear a second?
That's it.
Have a second. Any further discussion? How do you vote, Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Ms. Marlene?
Aye.
Ms. Bernie? Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second thing that I just want to touch base with you guys on is I was asked by Ms. Margaret to try to assist in the Elmore situation with the nuisance. Excuse me, I'm sorry. You should have in front of you a resolution that was drafted pursuant to your nuisance ordinance, which is Ordinance 79. Basically, the resolution is authorizing Ms. Margaret to, or her agent to enter onto the property to abate the nuisance. Upon the abatement of the nuisance, to get a cost of the abatement. Upon getting the cost of the abatement, to file it as a lien in y'all's internal records, and also to file it as a lien on the county records. Ms. Margaret will need to send notice to the residents of the property / / owners of the property. We'll also need to notice it in the local newspaper, which will be the Washington County newspaper for purposes of this one. But ultimately, what we're planning on doing pursuant to the ordinance you have in place is going ahead and abating the nuisance, and then going ahead and get a lien on the property to abate the nuisance. So if it costs you $1,000, there'll be $1,000 lien on the property.
Okay, I feel I've lost it somewhere. I did read it earlier, but I've lost it.
And it's resolution number 16003.
I did read it before. Y'all read it?
Yes, sir.
Somebody read it? It disappeared out of mine.
After listening
Too
to
I
it.
might get some little tabs to put on
Yeah,
those.
tooth fairy, but I have read it a couple times today.
Me too.
Are y'all
And,
familiar with it?
and if you look at it, this property has been on, since December
The one
the
that-
17th of 2015.
Uh-huh.
And then on February the 9th, and then
Yeah.
May the 12th, you know, so
We've given them
Ample
ample time. For sure.
Elmore is the property here.
north of town.
Where the car was in the tree.
Okay.
That would be a nuisance.
In the event we begin to do these,
Yes.
and we've wrestled with this, now this is it's right here tonight. If we have to have law enforcement come and be on the property while we got somebody out there cleaning up.
You have the right by ordinance to do that. Yeah, you have the right by ordinance to get on that property.
I thought it was in there someplace. Because ain't gonna be a place to do, that's what it's gonna take.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm hoping we don't have, maybe this
If
one.
we get one
It'll
or
open
two
somebody's
done,
eyes, they'll say, wait a minute, we can't keep putting them all, look down there what they're doing, they hauling off them old cars and all, them old trailers and all. I'm just hoping that one time's all it'll take. That one really would be an excellent one to use, because it's right out, I mean, not for this reason, but the side advantage to it is out there where everybody's gonna see it. You know, it's not like it's gonna be way down in the boondocks somewhere.
I agree with you.
And, I think that it'll make people at least aware that they can't bounce around and keep messing with it. I would, entertain a motion that we, accept, resolution 1603 and go forward with it. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
How much motion?
I have a motion. I need a second, please. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second. Any further discussion? You got any discussion on it?
No, sir.
Y'all have any discussion on it? How you vote, Ms. Barney? Ms. Marlowe?
Aye.
I got it.
You got it, Ms. Margaret?
huh?
You got it?
I got it. I'll start with whatever it says to me.
Shoot me the notice for the newspaper before you
Okay.
post it, so.
Going around and around it.
Okay, also y'all have, y'all remember last month when the donation for the Sleevinger funeral came up? And y'all asked me to ask Mr. Goodman about that. And his opinion was, the critical issue is that you're spending taxpayers' dollars, not private council members' dollars for public benefit. We must be wary not to spend the public dollars for strictly private gain without getting into the policy. You can justify it, by human resources or
Yeah, which
something.
one is this coming?
The Sleevinger funeral donation of $500.
Oh, yeah, so basically in a situation like this, and there's Attorney General opinions on this one too, is, you gotta be able to structure some sort of public benefit. So if you're gonna do it, we need to be able to have some sort of public benefit or organizational benefit, because the organization is a public entity. But we just need to be able to justify it from a public benefit standpoint, And there are things that the state does, morale boosters and things that we, as taxpayers, sometimes scratch our head at and go, well, I don't know if I would have spent that money there, but, there is a benefit to the employees and morale and things like that to do it. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood if you do it, you're doing it we're doing it for some sort of public morale, employee type reason and not simply a private reason.
But if we do one, we're gonna have to do everybody. Somebody's gonna come out and say, well, so-and-so died, we need some money for their funeral.
That's the slippery slope we get on.
Well, I'll have to admit right off the bat, when it was asked about, and I thought he was in dire straits with the family, you know, and I thought, well, what's he gonna lay up there until somebody gets the money and takes care of it, which did not happen. And I'll admit, I've had second thoughts since then. It was, and as you talked about, once we do it, there's no one can of worms we're talking about. And once you open it, you can't close it back. You can't.
Well, and all
We
you
could-
guys are, and we are really, is fiduciaries of public dollars.
Yeah.
So when you spend public dollars, you better be able
Yeah.
to, you better be able to point to some sort of public.
Yeah, now that's one of those things that I didn't have any objection to. They gave money, the fire department, I'll say
Sure,
that.
yeah,
That was out of their fund, that was perfecto to me.
yeah.
You know, and that's what it's for, that kind of stuff, that plus other things, but, and as you said, way later about.
The slippery slope he's talking about, there was once we get this attorney general's opinion, the fact that they give it out of their money may not make any difference anyway, because
Well,
that money is,
We'll have to worry about that then.
yeah.
But
I don't
as
think
of
it-
right now, I just, I'll have to get y'all's opinion, y'all have to make observations and, but I'm just saying I had second thoughts, because I did think, but it is
And
taxpayer
I
money.
actually think
Well,
that everything is been
and-
taken care of.
And
so
listen,
it's-
if you said, Jeff, flip the hat and tell me why we should do it, well, you know, there's state agencies and entities all over the state of Florida that put on, you know, $1,000 Christmas parties.
Oh, sure.
And what's the benefit to the public of that? It's a morale booster for the employees. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you that it's completely, you know, unarguable. You just need to be cognizant of this, of what you're doing when you do it and why you're doing it.
Yeah. Well, I even did all that, I thought, well, he was probably the most
Dedicated.
dedicated fire out in our whole department out there, 20-something men. And he literally, and that's, there again, that's a personal opinion, I shouldn't be saying it. He worked himself to death that weekend,
Yeah.
in my opinion. He was told he couldn't lift anything over 5 pounds. I saw him out there with 150 quart ice chests.
Yeah.
His wife had already went up to Alabama and picked up boxes of Boston butts that probably weighed 8 pounds apiece. I mean,
Sure.
boxes at the time.
Yeah.
Stayed out there all night cooking them
Yeah.
at the ball field. Went on Saturday, stayed down and died.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those type of things that I like to know that we could show our appreciation
Sure.
for.
No, listen.
But,
I think there's an argument. If the council felt strongly this is the direction they want to go and it was within reason, I think that there's an argument to be made you can do it.
that's the reason I came.
That's an expenditure question that the council has to make.
I've already messed up what I said. I was gonna come to this meeting and not say a word
Police.
about this,
Yeah.
No,
about
you're
this.
inside, you're inside, see, I didn't know that they.
It's good. No, I mean, it's fair. It's fair.
Cooking or something, I didn't.
Well, he
know.
did, he
I
started
thought he was in the
Thursday.
hospital.
What,
No.
if he knew it was gonna hurt him, why did he do it?
That I don't know. I can't tell you that. Why does everybody do it? I can't tell you that part. He did not have anybody. He said, in fact, he told me standing right out there at that, little shed. He said, when I get through this, it's be down through with the fire department. He said, I've been lied to. They don't come and help me. They're supposed to be down here, these young guys supposed to be down here doing all this. Nobody shows up. Well, he feels he has a personal responsibility to fulfill the obligation of having cooked Boston butts to sell. And he did not get any help. So he fell in there and stayed with it all night. And and I'm sure he's not the only one. I'm sure that some of us would do the same thing.
Did he pass away
Yeah,
that night?
Saturday,
After Fun Day, Saturday
Yeah.
night.
He had been sick, come on.
he went home
He'd
and,
been sick for 2 or 3 years.
yeah.
But it was a heart attack that killed him.
Okay.
He knew not to do this, like she said. He knew not to.
He
But
had cancer.
when you obligate yourself,
No, they didn't.
and you're
They
supposed to be
didn't.
gonna
They
get,
got off
10,
Heart attack.
20-year-old guys to do the work, you're gonna oversee it. You're gonna say, okay, build a fire, get the wood, do this. Nobody shows up, and here's the Boston butts already still there. And I guess if you're kind of from the old school, which he was quite a bit older than a fireman, he was in his 50s, I think.
My age.
So,
He's like Margaret. huh?
well, I know, but what I'm saying is he wasn't 21 years old like most of the firefighters.
And his
young
health was not
kids.
good.
And he just went in and pushed himself like from the old school. Now them young kids, well, they proved it on good, but they didn't even show up, so. And that got into my conversation, and I'm through talking.
And his word was his bond, and he.
Yes.
And the department
Yes.
was his pride, and he'd reflect on the department if he didn't do it.
Yes.
I mean, if you did it, you're almost likening it to a kind of a retirement party or retirement plaque for an outgoing employee. It's kind of the most similar thing I could compare it to, I guess.
I could, y'all make a decision.
I just think, like you said, this is not our personal money. Personally, I would love to give it to them, but we're looking out for the town's money. And if we start giving it to people we pick individually to give the money to, when we just gonna have to decision after decision. Because I do know people that didn't have life insurance. I made payments. We made and we had that from the son. Oh, it's small, $500. You know, people just, that's something we have to face and deal with it.
Yes.
And I know you, what, did you send flowers, Margaret?
Yes.
Okay, we sent flowers. Perhaps we could have thought not, donate the money instead, that we would
I
spend
think,
on flowers.
I think the problem is we don't have a policy.
Uh-huh.
We started sending the flowers on a motion
Yeah.
passed by the council, which makes it an action of the council, but we don't adopt the policy.
Didn't
We do
adopt.
that to anybody that lives inside the city limits, am I
No.
not? Or that has a permanent attachment, like Troy Lee Walton have, for
Okay.
instance, or John M. Carter, they didn't live here, but.
They have family here.
But I have heard people have complained to me, well, they didn't send my husband. And we've
Wow.
lived here all my life, right in the city limits. I have heard that too already.
I have to.
I have heard it. I have, Eddie Nichols.
Who didn't send
Oh, yeah,
flowers to
remember
town?
she said- Yeah, the town, and if we send everybody flowers, and
We
she
send
said.
them.
I would
she
bet.
said it didn't.
I'd bet money that them flowers went.
But,
She may not have.
She probably didn't remember.
I had thought in the past it was people that had served.
Mm-mm.
Served.
The motion was any resident
That was before my
that
time.
lived in Wausau or had family in Wausau, like Troy was John Earl and Blue
Uh-huh.
was here,
Well, see,
And we
I
can-
didn't
we
know
can-
it was that.
We can stop that tonight, by the same way we
Yeah.
started it. A motion will stop it.
Yeah, because it's not a resolution, it's not anything, it's just a motion.
Yeah.
What's the pleasure of the council?
I say no. I hate to start it. I appreciate what he's done, but I don't think we should start doing it with
We need to go ahead and make a motion on
our
that.
money, with the people's money. If it was our personal and we wanted to take up a collection, I'd say yes, but not,
Well, I've got a
that's where,
Well, Margaret, did you say everything's already paid for?
I think so.
So we just let it die? I mean, just let it dissolve itself? I don't need to have anything.
We got a request, we need to, that's a cheap way out.
Yeah, that's the
We need-
volunteer fire department
we need-
requested
We
it.
need to act on it somehow or another.
Okay.
Just letting it on the table, letting it die, it's not the way you do
Okay.
business.
Then make a motion. I'd entertain a motion of whatever direction that we're going in. Give me the motion.
not to do it, a motion not to do it.
That's what you
Yeah.
want.
If that's what you
Yeah, I
want.
make a motion that we do not start donating to
Okay.
individuals.
Okay.
If it was,
I'm not sure how that we do not, I guess that's good. then.
Start donating to,
How wide, because the retirement parties and things like that, I think that is an absolute respect and almost expected thing. Are we just addressing this one case tonight, and then we'll develop a policy on something? If we had a policy,
Tonight
I'd
for
vote to do it
funeral,
tonight.
for funeral.
I'd vote to do it tonight if we had a policy.
Or anything, I mean, yeah, I mean.
Maybe we need to form a policy first,
I think we.
and then we can vote on that, but this one right here, we can handle tonight.
This
That's
is for
one.
funeral
For
expenses.
a funeral expense.
For this one request from the fire department, that's what we're voting on.
Or if we did, can we set a limit to it
We can with a policy.
with a policy?
Well, right now, if we're gonna do this one though, we need to you made a motion that we not spend taxpayers' money on a funeral expense.
On this one.
Has everybody got that one? And then I'd accept a second for that motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
I have a second. Any further discussion, Mr. Cardell, how you vote?
Yes.
Aye.
Uh,
Okay. We will try to form a policy, and we'll tweak it and correct it around it to where everybody's can kind of get in the same ballgame, and then when we do, we'll make it into a motion, and then we'll have a policy. That sound good for you? That sound good to you?
Standing in front of the circuit judge once upon a time in my former life,
Uh-oh.
he said, "Who better to obey the law than them that make it?"
All right, good.
I forgot who he was quoting. But
Well, I mean,
if we get a policy, we say, this lets us do it, or this prohibits us from
that could have been Sam May, but that was before him. Sam May, he'd catch him for being drunk. He'd take himself up before the judge. You're guilty, Sam. $1 fine. So, I mean, he was taking care of his own
He
business.
was, Sam was
I got one more thing.
Okay,
colorful check.
I'm dragging this
Yeah.
around.
The volunteer, the fire department, Chief Rudd, we got a tanker that is needing tires. We got tires on state bid price for $781.32. They just need your concurrence on
One?
buy it.
How many
Four.
tires?
Four,
Oh, so he needs it, $2,800.
yeah. There's $781.32.
And that's million your signature limit.
Not really, but, you know, we do know with the fire department, I want it on a
I'll make
motion.
a motion to put tires on the tanker.
Okay,
I second the motion.
have a motion and a second. We put tires on the tanker. Any further discussion?
If they come to my house, I don't want to blow out.
Well, yeah, I don't want to stop
Well,
halfway.
these float out sitting in the station, so they
Is
get
that
buy
right?
heavy enough duty tires for the weight of the
Yeah.
tanker to begin with, trying to get them
Any
cheap.
further discussion? How do you vote, Mr. Marlon?
Aye.
Marlene?
Aye.
Oh, yeah. So they have tires. I know they just had to put new batteries in it. And then about 2 months ago, they had to put a new alternator on it. It's just like, it's kinda like me, it's kinda old and falling apart, just a little piece at a time. Of course, I can't buy any new tires for me, so I just have to keep using the same old tires I got.
I'm through.
Okay.
You're next.
I have a condition, a problem, a maintenance employee, that we have to move forward some direction. We have one that's, I was hoping, beyond hope, that he'd have us a letter by tonight. I talked with him Monday or Tuesday. And the doc, I'm talking about, Mark. He talked to his orthopedic doctor in Chipley, and the doctor told him they was gonna put a block in his back, a nerve block, so that he doesn't have pain. But he said, you're still not gonna be able to pick up anything over 15 pounds or what. You're not gonna be able to twist and turn. You're not gonna be able to climb in holes. So I said, Mark, will you please go back to him and have him provide us a letter to that effect? Put it in our, and then that's, we can feel, at least feel good about, retiring him. No, we are not retiring, but, put him out so we can start, so we can start finding out if we can find us a new maintenance person, full-time maintenance. Well, we got to advertise for that. We have to put all this in the paper, not the paper, but in the one stop. Anyway,
He's been on family medical leave since April. His family medical leave ran out in July.
And
We
it's-
hired a temporary employee then, but,
We even carried his insurance for longer than we had to, or not longer.
so y'all terminating, y'all gotta carry that
Yeah.
insurance.
So, I mean, what I'm saying is it's just like an ongoing thing. Oh, man, you think we're gonna be there so long?
No, didn't he?
We're not gonna have breakfast, are we?
No.
Start bringing breakfast things in, I know.
So does FMLA expire?
July the 12th.
Gave him notice of the expiration.
Oh, yeah, we gave notice of expiration, but they didn't terminate, or, like the county does, we didn't terminate.
We didn't terminate, okay.
Right. But we've just run out of time. We just, we've been over backwards trying to accommodate it, and I don't,
And he knows he's not gonna be able to come back.
but we can't get a letter from a doctor. They gonna send him now they gonna send him up to Columbus, Georgia, and this some guy's gonna come Ohio,
Boston.
Boston, and they gonna put this probes in his back and with electric shock. They gonna block the nerve, is all they gonna do. I mean, my uncle wore one of them things for 30 years or more when he had a bad accident. And you don't have the pain, but you can't do anything.
So let's just stop about talking about the injury. Stop talking about the injury
Okay,
and just talk about the issue. Let's not get into
Okay.
If you got a bad back, that's fine.
stand back. What's our next course?
My concern with the blocked nerve is if he can't come back, if he gets hurt, he ain't gonna know he's hurt.
So the responsibility under FMLA is after the 12 weeks, or however long he was allowed, that we have the right to ask for certification that he is capable of performing his essential job functions by a medical doctor. We can request that, we can request it to be done in a timely manner, and if we're not provided that, or some sort of reasonable accommodations that we can meet, that we normally meet, that's kind of a different sub-issue. But if we've asked him for an opinion of a medical provider saying he can come back or not come back and meet the requirements, and we've done what we're supposed to do, we can ask him to bring that to us, and if he doesn't, then we really are left with very little choice other than to go in a different direction. And that's more than reasonable under what the law allows. So the important thing is he needs to know his time's expired, that he's got a right to come back to work once the time's expired, but he's got to show that he's fit for duty, so to speak. And it doesn't sound like we have that information. He hasn't provided us that information. So we've got flexibility in what you want to do at this point in time.
Weren't you expecting a letter from him last time we talked?
Yes, sir.
And it didn't materialize?
He hasn't yet. He hasn't asked for it.
Do we need to document?
I'm not sure if he's
that
getting
later?
outside advice or about something, I'm just not sure. But I've asked him several times, I'd go down and just visit him as a person, and I say, in the process, I say, oh, how you feeling today? Well, I'm still on drugs. I'm not saying too much about the problem. But I've asked him many times,
Yes, sir.
is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah.
I've got to see another doctor. But, so that's kind of the reason I said he's a hometown boy and all. It's not like we just having a problem with somebody that came from out of the county or something.
Can I just address the attorney, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Could we get a letter from the attorney saying that this is what FMLA does, and the town is now at a place where they need to move forward?
Sure.
I think that us visiting, when we visit, we're friends, we're not city council persons and things
No.
like that. And maybe we need to visit in that capacity, but I probably am not. But if we can get something from Mr. Goodman says, FMLA allows you this, we now need to know, because we have to permanently fill a critical position.
And I've got those letters done. I've done them for other clients, and what we'll do is we'll just, if it pleases the council, we may give him, another week to provide evidence that he is ready to go back to work, and Lord willing, if he is willing, we'd love to have him back. If he's not, again, we've got work that's got to be done, and we wish you the best.
Yeah.
And there may be some other benefits outside of the scope of FMLA if the issue is that serious, that we could help lead him in that direction, that he may can get some other things versus what we can offer here.
Yeah, we've all,
And if
We've
there,
all-
and if there is, I'd like for us to do that too.
Well, like I said, I'm not sure whether I was going as a councilman or as a friend. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, it's hard, I mean, I feel it's hard, it's a hard thing, especially if it's a good employee.
You're
very
just,
good.
you're just a little farther removed than we are. I don't mean to dump on you.
But this would be great, what you just said.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave that, we're gonna leave that right there. Is that okay with the council, just to leave it, and then we'll get this, and then we'll go forward with it.
I'll shoot you an email.
We just need it. And that,
So you're gonna send a letter tomorrow?
I'm going to send it to whoever the employee is, and I'm going to CC Miss Margaret and the mayor on that
Right.
letter, and I'll send it certified.
That's good to do.
And it's not going to be it's not going to be a flamethrower.
We know.
Yeah.
We know.
It's going to be, we wish you the best, and we'd love to have you back if you can.
yeah. Okay, Roger Dale Hagan, you have anything?
I do. I can do them all at one time because the clerk may have to answer most of them if you like.
Okay.
Or I can do them one time if I get too fast. You tell me.
Okay, go.
Okay. I asked a few meetings ago, and now it's time for the certification to come up, the registration to come up again for animals. About a list, similar to the water list.
Uh-huh.
And if you could make sure that we get that.
They have them
I
coming
don't-
slowly to re-register.
I don't do Facebook. My wife has the ability on her phone, and she has recently read to me some very disturbing things that's been said about our employee. Our employee works for us, and if it's my brother, sister, cousin, whoever it might be that's got a unregistered, out of the pen, whatever it is, the enforcement has to be fair, but we can't do personality enforcement. And if he's doing what he's supposed to do, I certainly don't like the comments that has been made about our
On that
employee.
particular one, we picked up 7 dogs that day, they bailed one out. But we had numerous complaints every day.
I don't need an explanation. I don't even need an explanation.
Every morning, yeah, I seen him to get the dogs.
Okay.
They were in the street.
And that if it's in the street or in the neighbor's business, they need to
Not
do.
in his business. I mean, not on his property.
I understand.
Yeah, we would most definitely never do that.
I understand. But I'd like to have that list of who's registering and who isn't.
And they're right, their dogs are registered, and I talked with them personally, yes, and so has Ms. Palmer talked with them. Yes, your dogs are registered, but they got a certified letter prior to all of this with the ordinance in them and asking them to please contain their animals on their
My
property.
next question is, do they have an ordinance?
Yes, they do.
I've had one person who said that they didn't get an ordinance. Lives in T.D. Mercer's house over there.
No, they got an
Said when
ordinance.
they moved to town, they did not get an ordinance.
They got one.
But
They got one now, yeah.
They've been here for I thought we sent them out to everybody
We
one time we
did.
did the water thing.
We did.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, but I'd like to watch that list
Okay.
because we're gonna have that problem again, just like we got some of these other things we don't deal with. The Grantham and the Elmore property, we just done something on the Elmore property. Are you going to address any code enforcement? If you are, I'm not going to mention it, but
We just wait until we can clear these up before we do any more.
anymore, okay.
'Cause
Then
we
my-
quite got 4 or
then
5
my-
of them.
My next request would be, and I loading your wagon, but we're giving you a 4% raise, so.
That's right.
Could you create a list that says this is the status of the ones that's in the system?
Mm-hmm, sure can.
And if I have that, then we don't have to talk about it, we just read that, we know what's going on, okay? Website, are we still on honeymoon?
We're still on, well, he's about ready to get back to us, young man.
Okay.
We're about to get time to do it.
Water coolers at the Possum Palace,
We got them in, we got one installed at George M. Rogers Park at the skate park,
That was
it's
next
installed.
week.
We've got 2 more to install at the Possum Palace, and we're gonna install one out at the playground area where the little pavilion is there to keep them,
Talking about up in Possum House.
Possum
Okay.
House, yeah.
and the Blue Walks and Ham Curve.
We're waiting for the contractors to get in town.
Okay. I've never covered 5 things any quicker, Howard.
That's our record.
Pretty good.
I'm proud of you. You did a lot better than I did.
No, you've done well tonight.
I'm just sitting here leaning back. Miss Marlene? You have anything for us?
No, sir.
Ms. Burns?
Yes,
Okay.
I talked to James Alvin, and he wants to know if he could use one of the rooms where the cameras is in the Possum Palace to store his equipment, ball stuff, and lock it up. Because people do go in there and turn that camera off.
They sure do.
So
Yeah, plug
he
to that.
could, and if anybody wants
Our
to turn the
security
lights
camera?
on,
How
he
does
would go
what
down
does he want to
there.
do now?
Do what now?
What does he say he wants to do?
That room,
Okay, the room where the cameras
Yeah.
are, the camera equipment.
you don't
Okay.
use that except Possum Day, and he
Right.
said when,
Okay, you want to store it,
Stuff.
we usually have parties there, don't we, or?
Yeah, we use it,
We use it
wrestling uses
Yeah,
it
we
for
use
changing
it.
rooms and all, when we rent it out for wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the reunions use it for air
ain't
conditioning.
there any room down there that he could use to store that equipment? I had some in my shed, and you don't need the equipment everywhere. You need it in one
It
location.
needs to be on ceded property.
Yeah,
He has enough money in recreation to
We
buy
could
a portable building to put
Buy or
down there.
build something, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what he needs, what size, but he's got one shed there.
but he's got, it's not big enough.
Okay, well, that's what I didn't know, that's what I'm saying, I don't know if he's got,
He's
needs
got
it for.
equipment stored in the bathroom down there.
And city personnel doesn't have access to those, we got a leak somewhere in that concession, we have no access to any of that down there.
I told him the other day down there.
Because he has the only key, and we can't get
I
them.
told James Alvin, he was here the other day, I told him we gotta have a key to that
We
shed.
cannot get
Yeah.
into
I mean,
anything down
that's-
there.
Now, what we've got to be careful of is good as that's doing, and I can't tell you enough accolades for him, but we don't need to create a monster where it's the tail wagging the
We
dog.
got to catch up with it.
We got.
Don't let it get away from
We
us.
don't need that to do like the fire department.
But he does have enough money in recreation, there's enough funds in recreation to put a portable building down there, if that's what
Yeah.
would help the situation, you know.
Well, can you tell him, or you want me to tell him?
I can tell him.
Yeah. And I hadn't heard that, I'm sorry I hadn't addressed it, it's the liaison to recreation, he hadn't shared that with me, I
Well, he
didn't know
needs
that
to
at all.
be sharing it with you.
Yeah,
And he wants to know when we're gonna get the paint, the floor under the Possum Palace to do the basketball and the whatever other.
That's in the works, we're working on that. We have not had, due to the prison situations and all, we have not had an inmate crew here in several, probably almost a month now.
Why? Because there was one down there at the EOC.
Today, yeah, they let them out afternoon, but we didn't get ours. But we're working on getting the painting done down there.
And you mentioned Blue's Curb, right? I told Blue I'd mention it tonight.
We're still waiting for a contractor to get in town.
thank you. We don't have a street liaison at this time, do we?
No, we're gonna elect one though, I hope.
We sure do need one.
We
Sick
don't have
sick
enough
him
money in
on
the
him.
street to do that.
Get him, Blue.
Yeah.
That would be now using
But
taxpayers' money
he
for,
really needs to, we need to get it done, so he'll be off everybody's back. He's off
well,
everybody's.
that's using taxpayers' money to benefit one person. There
Well,
we
he
go
had a
again.
curb there,
He's
and
got a curb there now.
we tore it down.
He's got one there now.
We created his problem.
Yeah.
We did.
That's a street issue.
Well,
Well, Matt.
all he
I
wanted
know,
was,
I know.
all he wanted was the water not to come on his property. Well, it comes a lake in the back of my house when it rains.
We're gonna get it done though.
Look, I mean.
I will tell him tomorrow, because he will call.
But he's got a curb protector, but and I was down at my day meeting, I said, well, Blue, you got one there? I said, it's stand about so tall, about that wide, it's up. Watered up, he said, yeah, but it's crooked. I said, oh, what? It's crooked.
That's the only reason we don't like that one.
Okay, I didn't have any answer to that. Anything further, Ms. Bernie?
No, that's it.
Anything, Mr. Jeff?
No, sir.
I'd entertain a motion, we adjourn. What?
An observation on the motion, the observation is that this has run longer than our last few meetings have, but I think it's been as
We got a good meeting tonight.
well managed and productive, and we've handled some issues and things like that. I think tonight's meeting has been a good meeting, and I think we've done a good job, Mr. Chairman.
Quit pumping me.
And I make a motion to
I'm trying to
adjourn.
tell
Make a
you.
motion to adjourn
I have a
before
motion to adjourn.
we start talking again.
Do I hear? All in favor, aye?
Right before Miss Martin.